Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2005 Ford Escape. Up front is a 2.3 liter inline 4, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Ford Escape for one main reason. This is the facelift of the first generation Ford Escape. I haven't driven one from this era before, although I've done the later model Escapes. This is the first gen, and this is kind of praised as the best generation of Ford Escape. We'll get into why that is a little bit later on, but I'm always excited to share these vehicles with you here today. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 2.3 liter inline 4 under the hood. Well, it's a Duratec engine, and we saw this in a lot of vehicles, not only in Ford products, but also in Mazda. So we saw this in the original Mazda 3 that debuted a year after this vehicle. So it's a pretty reliable engine. It's decent. This one makes 127 horsepower. However, there was a V6 offered that was a 3-liter V6 that made 200 horsepower. So if you wanted to upgrade, you certainly could, and the Mercury Mariner got that same offering. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic transmission. It's lazy, and this one overheats pretty quick. However, this is kind of important because 2005 was the first year that they offered the automatic transmission with the 4-cylinder. Previously, the 4-cylinder was only paired to the manual transmission. For 05, they started offering the auto. Last but not least, this particular Escape is front-wheel drive. However, you could have found them in all-wheel drive back in the era. How does it feel to drive the Ford Escape from 05? It does have a slightly trucky feel, meaning it rides a little hard, it feels a little stiff, and it's definitely very rigid. Now, this in turn actually gave it some decent off-road prowess. These do semi-well off-road and can handle a decent amount of weight and a decent amount of abuse, but that ride quality day-to-day is going to suffer, and that's what you see the big difference as the Escape got newer and newer and newer. The newer models started to incorporate a more friendly, more car-feeling suspension as opposed to this. So this is the last of that sort of breed. Visibility is fine. I do like the size of the Escape. Always have, and I assume I always will. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and tachometer, and off to the right is a speedometer and fuel. On the steering wheel, we do get some cruise control buttons, but that's it. And moving off to the left, we do have a climate vent, our power mirror switch, as well as our gauge dimmer switch and a little coin holder. Moving on to the door, we do have power windows and power locks. And moving into the center, we get the standard Ford radio, nothing new or interesting here. Hazard switch and defrost down below, as well as the passenger airbag light. And then our climate controls, the AC is working here today, which I'm very thankful for. Fan speed off to the left, where to send it in the center, and temperature off to the right, as well as a 12-volt outlet to the far right. We have another 12-volt outlet down below with a big cubby, and the shifter, automatic shifter, again, new for 05 for the 4-cylinder. Works well, does the job, and off to the right is the hand brake. Then we do get cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. And initially with the liner, it does not pass. However, the liner actually says remove for large cups. So once we do that, it will in fact accommodate the big friggin' bottle, giving it a flying pass. Then we do get a center console and the seats. The seats are comfortable. They are cloth and they are basic. I'm not totally sure if this is an XL or XLT. I believe this is an XL. However, I don't have any documentation telling me so. But it is more basic. Cloth seats. They're comfortable enough. They do the job enough. Am I loving them? No. Do I want them in my own front living room? No. But they're fine. They're holding me in the chassis, and that's that. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, getting in the back of the first-gen Ford Escape, and a couple of things to note. No climate vents back here, something that modern SUVs almost all have. This does not. No center console, cloth seats. Knee room is okay. My knees are coming very close to touching the seat in front of me. I would have liked a little bit more space, but beggars can't be choosers. Headroom's good. I'm 5'11", not a small guy, and I have plenty of space up above my head. So very, very nice to see. I also do have door locks back here, which is nice, and we do have power windows, which is great as well. Overall, this is a pretty manageable back seat. If you had a big family, not really the car for you, but still the minivan market at this time and the bigger SUV market was kind of coming around, so you had other options. This wasn't really going to be the family car. However, you can fit kids back here, and you can fit people back here, maybe just not 5'11", not small YouTubers back here. And that's, you know, everyone deals with that at one point or another. Let's hop into the very back. We have a very cool feature on the tailgate, and we'll talk about some cargo space. So one of my favorite features on any car, new or old, is opening glass. So if you come down here, you see door and glass. Pull that, and then you could pull this up, and it does have opening glass. Love this feature. I think more vehicles need this feature, and I truly wish we saw this more often. So you can access all your things without them rolling out. However, we'll put this back down, and then we'll open up the door, and you get your big tailgate. No power tailgate or anything like that, but you don't really need it. It's light enough. You have some pockets over here, some storage options, things like that. We can come down here, push forward to release hardboard and lift. There we go. And you get some storage options under the hardboard, not cardboard, hardboard. So there you go. That is the rear tailgate section of the Ford Escape from 2005. Nothing crazy, but definitely very, very usable. And I love that rear glass opening. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I actually quite like the first and the second generation Escape. Now I haven't reviewed a second gen Escape. I've always wanted to and would love to find a hybrid one. But I think the first gen looks good enough. I think it's really simple and really straightforward. It has that sort of utilitarian look, but also not macho and in your face and snorting creatine off a bench press to try to impress you. It's fine. It does the job. It looks decent. I do like the proportions of it pretty well. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the first generation Ford Escape? Well, I have to say this is a pretty good experience. I like how straightforward this Escape is. Kind of an everything I need and nothing that I don't type scenario. As I mentioned with the looks, it's not over sculpted. It's not trying to prove a point. It's not holding a hunting knife to your throat and saying, "Look at me! Look at me!" It's not doing any of that. And I like that. This was really, really good. And you have to remember that in the early 2000s, our SUV market was a lot smaller. And so to find one of these and to buy one of these, it wasn't super, super common. One of my favorite SUVs ever, the Mazda CX-5, was actually birthed out of this, essentially, because this was rebadged as the Mazda Tribute. And the Mazda Tribute sold well enough for Mazda to invest in their own platform for the first generation CX-5. And then the second generation CX-5, and now the third generation is on the horizon. As I mentioned, this was also rebadged as the Mercury Mariner. And back in the early 2000s when this vehicle debuted, SUVs were more rough and tumble. The Ford Focus was kind of the everyman affordable vehicle. If you wanted an economy car, you went and you bought a Ford Focus. And so the Escape sort of began to soften the butter of the hardcore SUV. Sure, this was less capable, but this was a lot more manageable. This car is friendly to drive, and so I think this car helped usher the SUV craze that we have here today. People bought these and realized, oh, I can be a little bit higher off the ground, I can have all-wheel or four-wheel drive, and have SUV-ness without having to buy a Jeep or one of the giant Navigators or Escalades. I can buy an affordable vehicle that I still like to drive that has the benefits of ground clearance and all-wheel drive that the Focus just wasn't fulfilling at the time. And so really, this car was kind of an important stepping stone. Whether you like the current car market or not, this is one of the vehicles that led to it. This was a very friendly and approachable SUV at a time where that wasn't always necessarily a given. So today, I get to show you the first generation, albeit facelifted, generation of the Ford Escape. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Ted Ray and Ted Ray only. No thank you to William. Take that GM bull elsewhere. Huge thank you to Ted for letting me borrow his Ford Escape, not Will's. Ted's been absolutely awesome. I have reviewed so many cars from Ted, way more than I've reviewed from Will. Ted is absolutely awesome. I always appreciate him reaching out with his cool and interesting finds, and this is just his flavor of the week. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I love you, Will. But don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.